Part 2. Guseok shivered as a cold draft seeped through the cracks of the old door. In the dimly lit hallway of the aging apartment, a lone fluorescent light flickered nervously, as though it would give out at any moment. Each step he took made the worn linoleum floor flex slightly beneath his weight, and from beyond the walls came intermittent, unidentifiable sounds. He had tried to ignore them, but the more he did, the clearer they seemed to grow, as if intent on being heard. Deep in his mind, old memories began to stir, coiling tightly around his heart. Once, this corridor had been alive with laughter and the patter of children's feet. Now it was as silent as a held breath, a silence that seemed to shelter ancient grudges and buried secrets. As he stood before the door, the faint scent of cold metal drifted into his nose. The moment his hand touched the knob, the chill of the metal ran up his spine. Opening the door, he found that the space inside seemed frozen in time. The living room, denied even a sliver of light from the outside, was thick with damp, heavy air, and crowded with furniture long left to decay. The floor was littered with broken glass and splintered picture frames, while the walls were scattered with old photographs. Every face in them stared straight ahead, eyes no longer warm, as if warning of something unseen. In the center of the room stood a small table, and on it, a hotel receipt. The date was several months ago, the location a luxury hotel in the heart of the city. The name on the recipient line was someone Guseok had never met, but faintly scrawled in the corner was his own name. His hands trembled. As he was about to slip the receipt into his pocket, something glinted beneath the table, a rusted old key. The moment it touched his palm, the warmth in his hand seemed to vanish, as if it had been waiting for him all this time. He moved to search the room further when something brushed against his ankle. Looking down, he saw a thin steel plate poking up from beneath a worn rug. Pulling the rug aside revealed a small, aged safe. Kneeling before it, he slid the key into place. The lock turned with a heavy click, followed by a dull thud from within. When the door swung open, his breath caught. Inside was a weathered envelope of documents, an old tape recorder, and a familiar necklace, the one his mother had worn every day when he was a boy. She had claimed to have lost it, and he had never seen it again. Pressing play on the recorder, he heard a hoarse voice. "If you're hearing this, Guseok, it's already too late." It was his mother's voice. But the confession that followed struck him like a physical blow. His father had not died in an accident, but had been deliberately eliminated, and the person behind it was a member of the family he had trusted all his life. As the recording ended, the air in the room seemed to grow heavier. Outside, the wind rose, rattling the windows, and footsteps approached through the darkness. Instinctively, he gathered the safe's contents and turned, just as the front door slowly swung open. The man who stepped inside was at once familiar and strange. His gaze carried a faint smile, but deep within it, an old grudge burned. From the shadows, Guseok recognized his brother, yet the warmth he remembered was gone, replaced with a cold, sharp presence. Without a word, his brother walked inside, each step breaking the stillness like the tick of an ancient clock. His eyes moved straight to the safe. Guseok clutched the necklace in his pocket. The corner of his brother's mouth twitched upward. "You found it." This was the man who had vanished years ago, on the day their father died and their mother collapsed. He had left home and never returned, until now. "What is this? Why are you here?" Guseok demanded. His brother ignored the question, picking up the hotel receipt from the table. "You still don't know. That hotel's been tied to our family far longer than you think." There was mockery in his tone. Guseok's eyes fell on a glint at his brother's wrist, a gold watch. It was the very one their father had worn every day of his life, gone missing since his death. "That watch," Guseok's voice quavered. "There are many things you don't know, Guseok," his brother replied casually. Then, placing a hand on an old framed picture hanging on the wall, he pushed. The wall collapsed inward, revealing a hidden passage. A cold, damp wind seeped out. "Come with me," his brother said. "Otherwise, you'll live your whole life without knowing the truth." The passage was longer and more winding than expected, lined with old cables and pipes, the floor slick with some unidentifiable liquid. After several minutes, his brother stopped before a rusted iron door. Inside was a room stacked high with old documents. A worn desk sat in the middle, scattered with photographs, images of their father, his brother, and unfamiliar people. One of them was the recipient named on the hotel receipt. "Father didn't die in an accident," his brother said, "and you were in this house that day." The words rattled Giseok's memory, pulling at fragments buried in fog. Then he saw it, a photo of himself as a boy, clothes stained with blood, standing beside his fallen father, while his brother gripped a blunt metal pipe. "You think that's real?" his brother snapped. "You don't remember because someone made you forget." A sound stirred in the corner. From the shadows emerged his mother, but her face was not the one he knew. Her eyes were icy, her lips curled in a faint smile. "Now you understand, Giseok," she said. "You started all of this." The air grew heavy, his legs gave way, and the necklace slipped from his hand, clattering to the floor with a sound like thunder in his ears. His brother and mother exchanged a small nod. "Choose," his brother said, stepping closer. "Bury the truth with us or end it here." From beyond the wall came a tremendous crash. The floor vibrated under approaching footsteps, wet and deliberate, as though treading in blood. "You've always feared the truth," his mother's calm, cruel voice said. Photographs were thrown at his feet, everyone placing him at the center of violence, surrounded by broken glass and the fallen. His brother pulled out a dusty cassette tape, pressing play. A deep, familiar voice spoke, "Giseok, run." It was his father. Then the tape cut abruptly. "But you didn't run," his brother said, "because she made you stay." His mother's eyes narrowed. "You had to survive, but now you must remember." She pulled a switch. The floor rumbled, and a wall slid aside to reveal a room filled with devices that looked like they belonged in a torture chamber. In the center, bound to a chair, was a man on the brink of unconsciousness. "This is the man from the hotel receipt," his brother said. The stranger's eyes flickered open. "Giseok, is that you?" His weak voice carried an odd familiarity. "You don't know how long our family's history really is," his brother murmured, opening ledgers filled with names and amounts, some scratched out in red ink. "This was Father's empire, and this, everything you see, was prepared for you." His mother stepped forward. "Choose. Take your place or it ends here." Slowly, Giseok pulled the necklace from his pocket. Inside, the photo of his younger self smiled, but behind it, the memory of blood grew clearer. "If you don't decide," his brother warned, "this room will be your grave." Dust fell from the ceiling, the walls cracked. Both mother and brother moved for the door, but Giseok stood still. His fear was gone, replaced by something harder. Suddenly, the scene shifted. He was at a hotel front desk, holding a receipt with his name and signature, time-stamped just 2 nights ago at 3 a.m. But he had been at home then, his younger brother watching TV in the next room. The lobby clock ticked unnaturally slowly. Whispers, laughter, footsteps, all sharpened in his ears. As the elevator doors closed, a man in a black hat slipped inside. His eyes gleamed dangerously. Without a word, he pressed the button for the 7th floor and placed a hand on Giseok's shoulder. "I know what you're looking for." The man led him to a door that unlocked by itself. Inside was darkness, and the scent of something sweet, rotting. A single woman's shoe lay on the floor. On the table, 2 half-empty wine glasses and a ring of keys smeared with fingerprints. On the wall, a hotel envelope stained with blood. Inside were 2 photographs, one of Giseok sitting on a hotel bed beside a blurred-faced woman, the other of someone's legs being dragged away, the missing shoe now accounted for. The door slammed shut behind him, lights flickered out. From the hallway, a shadow began to creep inward. "You don't remember, do you?" a woman's voice whispered from the dark, drawing closer. His flashlight beam swept under the bed, finding a torn piece of white dress, stained deep red. From the floor came a scraping sound, a key dangling from a metal wire, before a cold hand snatched it away. In the window's reflection, something smiled back at him. The window burst open, and a rain-soaked wind carried the scent of wet earth and decay. A letter fell from the envelope. You've already chosen. There's no way back. The handwriting was unmistakable, his mother's. Fragments of childhood returned. A rainy night, his mother arguing with someone in the backyard shed, a scream. The truth slammed into him as the room grew heavier. The shadows on the floor wrapped around his legs, climbing higher. You betrayed the family, the voice said in his ear. The wall split open, revealing stairs descending into red light. Each step down was lined with scraps of newspaper bearing the same words: "The chosen do not return." At the bottom was a round room, a metal bed, and his father bound upon it, eyes wide. A rusted speaker crackled. You've done well to come this far, but only one can leave. Black liquid poured from the ceiling, cold and heavy. Chains fell, binding his limbs. His father smiled, a smile identical to the shadows in the window. A mirror emerged from the wall. In it stood not Giseok, but a blood-stained girl in a white dress. It's time you took my place, she said, reaching out. The mirror's grip tightened around his throat. Hands reached from the black water below, claws tearing at his skin. The girl's face warped into his own, the smile revealing sharp fangs. The chain snapped and he was pulled into the mirror. When he awoke, he was on an old bed in a bricked-up room, a recorder beside him. On it, a note in his mother's hand. You're next. Heavy footsteps approached. The door opened to reveal his father's figure, eyeless, black smoke curling from the sockets. He pressed a photograph to Giseok's face, an image of him opening a door at the base of stairs, already without eyes. The memories flooded in. Each time, he had been forced to choose. Each time, someone vanished. He was never the chosen, only the one to bring the next. The wall split, revealing another set of stairs. At the top stood a new face. Giseok's smile spread. Now he was the girl in the mirror, ready to seize another ankle.